All right, here we go. So thank you so much. I love the thumbs up. I love the those caricatures. You know, they can say more than words sometimes, right? So I started before we started this recording. I started talking about how this feels to me like a party I'm giving to myself. So thank you for attending. And I know it's tough for people. Many of you, it's the middle of your day. You're coming on in the middle of work. So I really appreciate it. And I am just really thrilled to, and I feel so privileged to have been really in the right place at the right time, is the only way I can describe the fact that I happen to be at Sid Banks lectures in the mid 80s, 1984, 85. And honestly, I didn't realize the extent that I was touched by what he said, or that I was impacted by what he had to say. I knew things were changing because I wasn't that sad, grumpy, things never work out right person that I was beforehand, but I could not explain what made the difference. So it was, was this a contact high? I would just go and listen to Sid and I'd get in this really beautiful feeling. But through the years, I gained more of an understanding so that I have some words, and you're all going to help me with your words. Because the point of this is that we're all in the same place. Nobody is more spiritual than anybody else. I love that. That's a direct quote from Sid, but it is absolutely true. There is not one person walking this planet that is more spiritual than anybody else. That's where we're all originating from. And so this is the second thing that hit me. I'm sure there were a lot of other things that hit me, but I mean, the second thing that hit me that really propelled this mystery school was being in an online course that Dr. Pettit taught at the beginning of the pandemic, late spring, early summer, called, let's see if I get it right, MBBB, Mind, Brain, Body, Behavior Connection. He did 8 weeks of explaining how our whole system is totally connected, not just within us physically, but to the outside external world, and to formless energy, which we give such short shrift to as humans. We just don't realize the enormous power behind us to create misery as well as creating positivity, and creating unhealthy situations as well as creating healthy situations, and everything in between. So that's how this evolved. So Dr. Pettit said, and I heard him say this, this is really humbling. So I have to be honest and admit this to you, because I think you have experienced something similar. I had heard Dr. Pettit say this since, I don't know, I met him in 85. I don't know if he was realizing the power of reading and listening to Sid to the extent, probably not to the extent he does now, because it does unfold. It's an unfolding. And but at some point I heard him say, I brought him to Hartford, Connecticut to speak with Judy Sedgman, and I'm sure he said that then, to read Sid Banks more than once, read all of his books more than once. I heard him say he does not see a client. He will not, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you heard something different, please. That's what this whole program is about, so that we can check and balance each other. It's hard to know, is this fantasy or is this reality? But I could have sworn he said that he will not see a client until they read, maybe it's the missing link. I think he says the missing link, read that 3 times. I don't know exactly. I just know he really, really sees an enormous difference. And during this pandemic, I knew this in the back of my mind. I knew it all along, but it became so crystal clear in the beginning of the pandemic, because a lot of my clients had time off. They were furloughed. They had possibly lost jobs. I think they're all back employed now, but they didn't know if their job was going to be available, you know, once things opened up more. So they had more time. I got through to them. They actually read from Sid's books and they listened to his recordings, and I saw enormous change. So that really woke me up to how powerful this is. And I have to tell you, I had read Second Chance one time in 1985. I read his other books since. I don't think I've read any twice, except for The Missing Link. I was doing a group around The Missing Link, and I read that several times. But that's a really short book. They're all short books. And they're based on stories, so they're fun reads. But within those stories, they're such pearls of wisdom. They're just pearls of wisdom. So I'm on my 3rd reading of Second Chance. And I'm going through with a pencil, you know, where I mark off the sentences that are striking me as though it's the first time I ever heard it. And, you know, my life changed a lot. Nothing physically changed. I have to tell you that I'm in the same exact situation. And it's not the situation I wanted in life. It's not the situation I thought I would have in life. But it feels like it's a miracle. It feels because I'm in a good place. I'd have to say 98% of the time. I think that's pretty accurate. I have my moments, believe me, where I'm complaining that things are not the way they should be, blah, blah, blah. But I snap out of it pretty quick. And I'll tell you, the thing that came to me in this 3rd reading of Second Chance, and I'm only on chapter 9, I still have more to go for this reading, and I look forward to it. I can't wait to see what, you know, what's going to jump out at me in the next 5 pages that I read. So what struck me was, you know how Sid talks about if we could see how to harmonize, or when we see how to harmonize our little mind with big mind. I really love that distinction. Little mind being the brain, all the thoughts we think, all the what ifs and woulda, coulda, shouldas, and what's wrong with me's, and all of that brainwave nonsense that looks like it's not nonsense. It looks like it's absolute truth because of one of the 3 principles, consciousness. That's the system, mind, thought, and consciousness, that's making everything we think appear as a reality. And having that as an explanation really helped me. I mean, there's wonderful people in the world saying incredible things. They're, you know, they would say that they're enlightened. Sid would never say that he was an enlightened person. He would say he's an ordinary person who happened to have an enlightenment experience. So I think maybe that's also what drew me to him, because he wasn't putting himself out as a guru or somebody who knew it all. He was just sharing what hit him so profoundly to help people, to help needless suffering in the world. There's an enormous amount of needless suffering in the world. I see it in my practice. And, you know, I know, if only they knew that it's their thinking tripping them up, they'd have a fine life. Yeah, there's difficult circumstances. Absolutely. Absolutely, there's difficult circumstances. Somebody breaks an arm and it's their right arm and they need it for everything and they live alone and, you know, or this or that, or they don't know if they'll get another job and they can't pay their mortgage. There's enormous hurdles that people have to jump. But when the mind is so clogged with, oh, what's wrong with this? They're not apt to come up with a great solution. They'll come up with a solution that's, you know, just trying to dig themselves out. But there's a better solution that comes to mind when a person's mind is clear. So that's what this is about. I call it I like to call it a book club on steroids, because we're all going to encourage each other to read more, listen more, look within, and there's a platform to share it all in a Facebook group, a private Facebook group, and work it, you know, talk to us in the middle of the night. Somebody's bound to see it first, and, you know I'll be there more than the other Facebook groups I'm in, that's for sure. I'll be here the most, Mystery School, so that we can share ideas and share insights and share what's coming to us. So before I open it up to any of your stories that you would like to share, I just want to say that the most impactful thing that's happened to me recently was seeing, and Sid talks about seeing in all capital letters, you know, it comes and it goes, this feeling of, oh my gosh, I see more than I did before. That's the feeling, I think, that Sid meant when he capitalized seeing and knowing. So what I saw was as humans, we have this gap. It looks to me like a gap between what is and what we think should be. Like, it should be this way. Why isn't it this way? And it is what it is. But us complaining in our head that something should be a different way, or angsting about it, or troubling ourselves about it, or troubling others because they're not living up to what we think they should be, that's the trap. That's the trap for humanity. And Sid talked about the isness of life. I'm not sure I know I don't understand it fully. I know I don't understand any of this fully because it continues to grow. Somebody called it, the three principles are the gift that keep giving. They're the gifts that keep giving. It's absolutely true. And, because the more and the longer I've looked within how my own experience, that's what I think within means. It's not like, I used to crack jokes. When am I supposed to look at my belly button? But looking within to me is just looking at our own experience and how that plays out and where that comes from all the time, every moment of our lives. And thought is tricky. It'll hoodwink us. It'll just grab hold of us as reality, as the only reality that exists. And, I don't mean people should walk through life and think about, gee, I'm thinking now, aren't I? I'm thinking now, aren't I? You don't want to be on your shoulder with pressure. But reading Sid's books and listening to him, I started seeing that more and more. And he never says, do this, do it that way, repeat this mantra, meditate this long, do yoga. He never says any of those things. Now, I do yoga and I want to do more of it because when I finally, it's so hard sitting down on my mat. It's really hard. It's treacherous sitting. My butt down on my mat. It's just getting there, right? That's my point. Like you just get somewhere and it's like, oh my God, it's really easy. It's so easy and it's enjoyable. And if I question myself why I don't do it more or beat up on myself, where's that going to get me? Nowhere. It just is. It is what it is. And if you can see life as we're learning from everything all the time, we're learning. So, if any of you have any stories you'd like to share, I want it to be, you know, not just me talking, I want it to be a community. I see this mystery school as a community of learners, seekers, students of the three principles, um, mentees of Sid Banks. I like that term, mentees. He was an amazing mentor and continues to be. He's not alive, but he's still a mentor through his writings and his recordings. All right, so who's next? Enough of me. I'm going to zip it, lock it, and put it in my pocket. I learned that from a 13-year-old client. I love it. Zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket.
Yeah, hello, my name's Mark, and what I'm in the UK now, and one thing when I came across Sid Banks's work, and one message that I always hold with me is, if things get complicated, is keep it simple. You know, the message is very pure and it's very simple, and I feel as if I've been really blessed to reach this age and come across Sid Banks, because now I can, the book, the missing links, and all the other books I've read, as well as watch the YouTube links. The knowledge or the wisdom, which is which is portrayed within his words, and he talks about the greatest gift. One of the greatest gifts that I got from listening to Sid was that wisdom is within me, you know, and um, I think about that. I really, really do think about and meditate on that every single evening. I sit in the garden. The lights are getting darker now in the UK. But I sit in the garden on an evening before I go to sleep, and I think, you know, to unclutter your brain, genuinely, you just keep things very, very simple and listen for that one thought. And it's, not listening for the thought, it's really feeling, and she talked a lot about feeling. And you do get that feeling when you reflect on the words and you meditate and you think of the simplicity of the words. One great thing is Sid Banks's missing link. You can read it in an hour, you know, and you can go in the garden and think about it. And as people have said, yes, definitely with me, I'll read the book and see something new in it every single time. And that's an absolute delight. But um, messages of humility and grace and gratitude that come through from Sid Um, you know, I've learned now as a man to keep within me every night before I go to sleep. I go to sleep very well. I don't have problems sleeping. And the thing that helps me get to sleep is gratitude. And I've got a long, long list of things which I'm grateful for. You know, some terrible things have happened in my life. My younger eldest sister died 6 years ago. My best friend as a young man died 4 years ago. Then a very close friend died of cancer. And I'm grateful for life. And the essence of, and that's the essence of my gratitude, is being grateful for being alive and being open to the words that have been given to us by Sid, and you mentioned, Laurie, Sid not being here, but to be honest with you, he is here in his words. I can't watch a YouTube link and think that Sid's not here. No, for me, because he's alive now as he was then. And I smile when I watch the videos, smile at his jokes when he talks about, uh, prompting questions, how do you know that? You know, and he said, if you're going to ask me, how do I know that? I'm just going to say, because I do, you know? And it's very, very simple. And and he was a wonderful man. And to have this um, revelation in his life, to come from the background he did, and have a revelation in his life, and then make a life of transferring what he'd learned through his books, through his lectures. It's just absolutely marvelous. And now we've got. Uh, I'm in my mid 50s, so I'm old enough to remember um, the musical Hair, where they used to sing about the song of this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And I tried to look it up the other day. When is the age of Aquarius? I think it must be now. I do think the world on a whole, and I don't think it's a coincidence, this COVID thing happening as well, is the whole world is reaching uh, a new state of spiritual consciousness. You can feel it, you know, because of the COVID thing. People are now, and pray to God that it does go, it will go, but when it does, people are going to be grateful for so many things that they once took for granted. Things like giving a friend a hug, seeing somebody in the street, stopping and saying hi, giving them a kiss and a hug. All these things we can't do now, we're going to have gratitude for. And boy, I'm really excited for that time to happen. I'll wait for it to happen. I'm going to Portugal next week. I'll be away for 2 weeks. And then I'll have to come back and go into uh, confinement. I'm trying to think of what was the word again? Yeah, go into confinement for 2 weeks, so that I don't come in contact with anybody. But to be honest, I'm happy in my world, my my words of Sid Banks, watching my videos, and just being grateful that you know um, there's people I see every day. I went to a chemist shop the other day, and there were chemists in there working every day, and people who are going out getting up every day, and especially NHS workers, National Health Service, yeah, putting themselves in harm's way. And I'm so grateful I'm doing a job that I don't need to do that, you know? And I'm so grateful to them for the care that they offer, and they don't offer it because of the wages. They offer it because they genuinely do care. And yeah, these groups now, it's amazing they're starting now after Bill's summer lectures. Absolutely fantastic, you know, and this Zoom platform allowing people from all parts of the world to discuss the spiritual aspects of their lives. You know, I was an addict, you know, and I attended Narcotics Anonymous, and I've told Laurie this, and I stopped because I realized the message in Narcotics Anonymous is so negative. In that, if you listen to, um, trying to think of the guy almost from Canada who did a lot of work. Anyhow, you're basically told every day that you're sorry for all the things that you've done in the past, and at the end of the day, you got to be grateful, and that you're a clean addict, because if you're not, the outcomes are jails, institutions, or death, and that simply is not a fact. You know, addictions. I've learned a lot about addictions working with Dr. Bill, or talking to Dr. Bill, and addictions are not caused by the drug themselves. You know, it is the initial pain, the trauma that one has suffered early on in life, which you medicate. And it's the only thing you can think of to do at the time is to try to medicate that. I medicated mine with codeine and tablets you could get here with lots of codeine in them, which I eventually became hooked on. But I use that as my drug of choice. But really, now thinking about it, I was a man who'd gone through a life with a lot of trauma, and a lot of trauma I've still yet to discover, which I'll discover next week. And I'm in Portugal, and it's that pain that has that caused me to become an addict. But ultimately, the words of Sid brought me peace, really did. Thinking about it and listening, it's also simple all the time. Hearing those words, it's simple, it's easy. You just have to, just, with one consciousness, one universal mind, and really, if you keep your thoughts simple, think, keep your thoughts, um, be humble, virtuous, and know that you're willing to taking your life in a genuinely positive direction. You're going to be okay in life. You really are. And that's what I've learned from Sid Banks. So, and
Oh,
for this, I mean, it's priceless. It really has been priceless. My life has changed absolutely completely from being a man full of anxiety and fear to a man now who knows that I've got nothing to be afraid of, but I've got so much to be grateful for, you know, and I'm grateful for this meeting.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Question came to mind. I know I'd love to hear from all of you, but would you say, now that you're on the other side of addiction, would you say, looking back, that that all occurred because of an innocent desire for relief, right? Would you say
Unknown,
that?
yeah, an unknowing, innocent desire for relief, from the pain of my trauma. Yeah. Somehow I needed to find a relief or to ease the pain that I was going through, and I used drugs to medicate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get sucked into having to use something external to what we already have. I mean, you're probably experiencing the same degree of pain, but you've also seen how to get more relief mentally, which helps pain. It doesn't mean it makes pain feel more like sensation as opposed to something that has to be medicated, has to be taken away.
Mhm.
That's just how I see it.
Yeah, yes, indeed. If I do feel pain, I recognize it as either if it's a real pain in my legs because I may have been running, or it's a pain, an emotional pain. And now I'm able to take myself out as an observer and view the pain and see it for what it is, rather than before my immediate reaction was, I need to lose this pain, rather than knowing that that pain was part of me, you know, and needed to be comforted, but in an appropriate way, and needed to be comforted in a spiritual way, not with drugs. Yeah, and that's what I've learned. And all the time that I talked to Dr. Bell, we talked about direction. And I always remember that from Dr. Bell is direction. My life is just direction, is continuously every single day I'm blessed and it's moving in a positive direction. And so many things which seem like serendipity, coincidences, there are no coincidences that happen because of this spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's wonderful. In fact, serendipity, you may not know this, but you were a big catalyst in my putting out this course sooner than I thought it would come out, because you wrote in Dr. Pettit's Facebook group, is anybody going to continue what we learned during these
Yeah,
8 weeks, something like that? And I said,
yes.
well, actually, I had this idea that I've been, and boom, so thank you. You were a big catalyst for this unfolding a lot sooner than I thought it would.
Well, thanks for picking up the mantle and doing that. Yeah, that was really good of you.
I was already in the hopper, but it was just hopping around in there. So you helped me to get it moving. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful how you found solace within yourself, not needing to medicate it, not needing to even take it away. It's part of us. It's part of us. That reminds me of growing up with my dad. My dad had war injuries. He was in the Second World War at age 18. I could tell amazing stories that he told me, but if they're applicable at some point, I will. But for now, it's just that I found myself walking down stairs of my house holding my back. And I think I did that for years when I realized I'm doing that. And when I realized it, I said, why am I holding my back? It doesn't hurt. It was just the way I descended the stairs. And then I remembered seeing my father every time he walked down because he had this back injury. I didn't even realize that I had taken that on as a way you get down the stairs, you hold your back. That's how thought is so hidden. It's so hidden, and it comes out in a variety of behaviors, which could be at one end addiction and at the other end holding you back for no reason at all. Fascinating. And it's so wonderful to be able to uncover these blind spots that we have. And like you mentioned, being humble, you know, it's humbling being a human because our brain does some really wacky things sometimes. But to be in a position of knowing that we don't have to believe everything we think. Just because we thought it doesn't make it true. It may look true, but who knows what's really going on. I see that with the couples that I speak to in counseling, that they see things so differently, and you can understand why they're so upset because of the way they're seeing it. And that's all it is. So, who else? Who else has a story? You know, anything you could think of how you saw something one way and then you saw it a different way. And it had something to do with an insight you had. Because that's what changes our perspective, is having an insight, seeing something that we hadn't seen previously.
I'll talk. My head is still is exploding in a good way. I just came upon this at the beginning of the epidemic, and so and I magically got the book that you asked us to read in the mail last night, and I finished it this morning, and I was like, oh man, you know, another you know, just one after another epiphanies, and I just I I'm not really into Disneyland, but I explained it to Omar that Mark knows that I'm at Disneyland. I'm riding. I'm like, woo! I'm having so much fun because daily, by the minute, I feel like an onion. Layers are peeling off. It's just magical. Everything is just. And I saw so many things in that book, and I have a couple on the way, and this is magical. And it's just magical. And I read something. I read it to my boyfriend last night. I'm like, this is so simple. How come I didn't know this? And it applies with all that's going on with everything now about a debate as opposed to a conversation or arguing debate, and how if you're not listening, the art of listening, if you're not listening and each person is fighting their thing, now I see why no one agrees. It didn't, like, politically. Of course not, because they're both trying to win their argument and they're not listening to the other side. Because I've been spending, oh my God, why can't people see this? Why can't they, politics and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, now I get it, because each side wants their side to win, and they're not listening. How can they learn anything? So they don't know any different. So there's one big thing. But yeah, I'm in la la land. And sometimes when I get super excited, because that's how I am, I get unraveled, even though it's a good feeling. But now it's a different thing. I'm like, oh, I like this. So I am like, I kind of say I'm in the honeymoon stage, because I'm just like, everything's so wonderful to me. And if you guys would have seen me like a year ago, this is like, and I had already, felt better, but and I've had different avenues over the years and stuff, and had reached a pretty good place like 10 years ago, but kind of it went away, and it wasn't, through Sid Banks, but I've been listening to his videos and um, plan on reading all the books and everything. But everybody, you people, I'm not even describing it as, I had it all in my head, but you know how that goes. I tried to listen instead of trying to think of what I was going to say when it was my turn to speak. But I am just so grateful, like what Mark said. It's just, and I'm having a problem sleeping, but I'm excited about it because I want to wake up and live. Just so excited. I'm like, okay, Sharon. Yesterday I was so exhausted. I usually can't take a nap. It won't work. I won't fall asleep. I slept like a baby. I was tired. I needed it because I've been sleeping at night, but I'm so darn excited. I want to read more. I want to hear more. This is just too cool. And then I want to tell everyone, of course. So anyway, I'm done, but I am so darn excited about everything right now. It's just, what a transformation. I'm just so grateful. I'm so lucky.
Yeah,
It's neat.
we're lucky, aren't we? I mean, now
Thanks,
don't think that everybody, that doesn't happen to everybody. Like me, that didn't happen to me. I was
No,
more of a slow burn. But that's so great. So how did you first even, this is new for you, if I understood, Sharon.
yes, I I hooked back up with a lady that I first discovered yoga with like about 10 years ago. That was kind of my mentor, and she had we had just ran into each other after 10 years, and that's another whole story, but it was just magical because we just love each other so much. And so she sent me a text to sign up for Michael Neal's thing. She said, she says, I didn't know anything about it. And she said, if you ever trusted me and you want to trust me now, you must sign up for this. And I'm like, oh, well, if Pramila said it, I know it's because I just, I can trust her with my life. And so I didn't get it. I was going to the seminars. I even went to a little gathering at the house, but I didn't know what anyone was talking about. And finally I said, oh, I got to sit down and start reading this. So this was only starting in March. And then I just start reading it and listening, and I'm like, oh, and some of this stuff I realized I knew before. I just didn't trust. I didn't trust what I knew. And I'm like, and I see what I did to do the opposite. And so now when I think all these, thoughts, I'm like, I don't like that show. I'm going to turn the channel, and most of the time it works. And when it doesn't, I'm like, oh, this too shall pass, I'll be fine. Or I'm tired. I need to eat. And then then I'm, because you can't always be like this, all excited. It's like, but I'm just like, oh, this is so, I'm very grateful. I'm very happy. And again, I know it's, you're going to have days that aren't as great and things happen, but from the inside out, I keep thinking of the analogy of I'm painting my own picture. Now I understand, because I consider myself, well, not now, but I'm working on it. Well, no, working on it. Anyway, being judgmental. And now I'm like, oh, well, I see it with my boyfriend. I said, how you like this? And you explained to me till all day long about how you like it. And I'm like, don't see it. And I'll do the same thing to him, and he does it. It's because obviously we're painting our own picture. It's not, that's just life. It's the way it's, so it's all, yeah. And I've been in through a lot of the mental health system as well. And in fact, I'm doing that now, but I'm kind of like, I'm an observer now. I have to finish something that I started with them, but I'm just like, I did tell my last therapist, unfortunately got laid off, and mostly she just listened to me talk. She didn't really help me a lot, but I told her all about the 3 Ps, gave her links, everything. So I'm like, Christine, I told her, it works. It works. So, that it's, because at first I said, I don't know about this stuff. She goes, well, you stay with your thing, because, and she didn't really know anything about it, but I started telling her, I said, check it out, check it out. So I'm hoping now that she's laid off, she has time, you know? So anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad you're with us, because
Thank
I
you.
really see that this would be a great springboard. Like you say, you're in Michael Neal's class, or you're going to do that. His does Super Coach and some other programs too. And Jamie Smart, George Prince, the Pranskys, Dick Bettinger. There are a lot of people offering different three principles courses, or whatever they call it. But I think, getting the basics first makes such a big difference, because then I think you'll hear what these other people, because they're also, second generation or third generation of away from Sid's experience. How Sid brought this, he was the vessel, whatever you want to call it, to bring this into the world, to really eliminate human suffering. There's just way too much emotional suffering in this world, and it's unnecessary. You've got the stage now. Joanne, you were on the stage for a minute. Yeah. Your turn. Yeah.
No, I mean, I love all these stories. It's just fascinating to me how when we're ready, Sid comes to us, It's like, yeah. Because I had for years, I mean, I've been a life coach for a long time, and I wasn't doing typical coaching so much, but I was doing techniques to help people's energy, like, because I had so many insecurities. And my clients would come in with insecurities, so I do techniques to get rid of them. But nothing touched the soul. I mean, yes, they would see things differently, but nothing touched the soul. And that's what I knew it was inside out. And I kept trying to think and figure out how it worked, and I just couldn't get there. I mean, when you say it's thought, it makes sense, but I couldn't get there trying to figure it out by any stretch. And Michael Neal came across the internet, and so I did one of his courses, and I didn't understand anything. But he said something about Sid Banks, so I went directly to Sid Banks. And when I heard, because I didn't understand what Michael was saying, but I knew it was truth. So when I heard Sid say, the first thing he saw was how thought, there's no such thing as things as insecurity. It's all thought. Boing, it hit me. And I just started laughing. It was all made up. And I thought it was real, And, it's just been, I'm like you, it's been kind of gradual. It's nothing, huge and whatever, but it's just, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah. My life is so much different. Not that it's perfect by any stretch, but even if in its imperfection, I'm a happy person most of the time. I could cry. Yeah. I mean, we have so much to be grateful for, and there's so much innocent suffering going on. Innocent.
Yeah.
That's keeping us from love and connection with ourselves and with others. And it's just, So that's it. I mean, I could go on, but that's it.
Well, anytime, Joanne. That was great. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Hey,
We're so fortunate. We're so lucky.
Absolutely.
Laurie, can I say something? Thanks, Joanne. It was lovely listening to you, Sharon. Laurie, I've got to go to a meeting at 8 p.m. UK time. So I'm afraid this hour, which has passed so quickly, I'm going to have to leave.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you were able to come and I could meet you. We've texted back and forth, and I finally get to meet you. And before you leave, I just want to share this. I have found, I don't know, you're going to have your own ideas. They could be very different from mine. I find this more intimate, meeting people on a screen than meeting them in person. And I'll tell you why. Two reasons. When I meet with clients, I get to see their babies, their pets. They just feel so much more comfortable at home. I didn't realize this when I was working from an office. And I also know therapists who have ideas that it's not good to meet with people at a platform. They have, I could list the ideas why it's not good. But it's like we make anything up. We make it all up. And that's what they made up, and that's what looks real to them. Just because they made it up doesn't mean it, they didn't make it up intentionally, but we're making everything up all the time, and it looks real to us. The other tip I got about this feeling more intimate to me was from my 16-year-old niece. Because when I would go to visit, and I loved my visits, she would be on her phone, Snapchatting, making faces to her friends on Snapchat. But now, when I Zoom with her, I'm on her phone. I have her undivided attention. She brings me to the kitchen while she's cooking her quinoa that she just discovered. She brings me to her closet to show me her, what she's going to wear to this event. It's way more intimate. So we've got a lot of thinking about what connection and intimacy is all about. We don't have to be now elbow to elbow, right? We don't even have to be elbow to elbow. We could just be eyeball to eyeball through a screen.
Okay.
And sharing things that are meaningful and impactful for us. So before we let Mark go, is there anything anybody wants to say? He's got to go though, because it's late there, right? You're not in Portugal now yet. You're in London.
Not yet, no.
You're in
Next
the
week.
UK. Yeah.
Well, enjoy the rest of your meeting, everybody, and God bless.
We'll see you on the Facebook group. Will you communicate with us?
I will do.
When you can.
Happiness is just one thought away. Always remember that.
One thought away from a better experience. We're always one thought away from a better experience. I love that.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. You'll get the recording tomorrow.
Thank you.
And do you have any question for me to answer? Because I'm going to give you a 5-10 minute recording answering any question that any of you have. Or I'll make up a question.
Not at the moment, but I will do later. You take care. I better go. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Good night. Bye.
Yeah, so anybody else have a question? Because I'm going to answer that question. Or I could go through, there was that survey with like 25 or 27 different questions. And you helped me with some of them too, Joanne. Thank you for that. They were good additions. So, yeah, I could always do a little 10-minute video. It's just to kind of get you, keep us all connected. It's another way of keeping us all connected in this journey. We're on a journey of discovery.
Okay,
and so,
remind me again of, we meet once a week.
Yeah.
We have recordings that appear every day in the Facebook group. Is that it, or what? How is that working?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I could put it in the Facebook group. Thank you. Do you see how this whole thing evolves with all of us? We're co-creators in this. I hadn't thought of that, Joanne, but it's a lot easier for me to do that than, Felix saying, yeah. You have to leave. Well, thanks for coming. See you in the Facebook group. Just put the name of our group and you have to come to the gatekeeper. I'm the gatekeeper. I'll let you in. All right, Feely. Thanks for coming. So, yeah, that's a good idea. It'll save me. I envision just having it go out to your emails. I figured I could put all your emails in one place, but I think the Facebook group is a great place to post them. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we may need reminders, though.
Yes, everybody needs reminders. But what about me? Who's going to remind me? Yeah, I know. Life gets busy. Sharon, you got any question that I can answer for the group?
No, not right now. I've been learning to try to sit, and then sometimes the answers come to me.
Right. That's so true. That is so true. If it's like engineering the mind for answers, if you ask yourself a question, it's like it comes from big mind. Yeah, it's the only way I can describe it.
I was like the guy in the book.
Say that again.
I feel like the guy in the book. You know, I don't know if I kind of figured out a while ago I wasn't a good listener because I was, you know, like everybody trying to think of what you're going to say back, you know. And now and it's I always think I have a short attention span, and boy, has it been growing. I'm like, whew. For me to sit and watch videos, you know, like even for the 3 principles, I would say it used to be kind of difficult. I'm not a TV watcher. I always want to get up and move, you know, and I'm like, oh, so I can relax into it. It's kind of neat. I just, like I said, I have one neat feeling after another. So,
wow.
Yes, but I'll always have questions. But I can't think of any right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so funny, you know, I had this memory just this morning thinking about doing this today that it's a little embarrassing to admit, but you know how you get nicknames in high school? You want to know what my nickname was? Why? W-H-Y. Yeah, because I asked why a lot, I guess. I don't have a memory of that, but isn't that wild? Somebody wrote in, and this was like when it dawned on me, someone wrote in the yearbook next to my picture, why? With a question mark. I guess I was asking why, you know, as a youngster. So this is cool. We're looking at the why. Why do people get upset? Why do people get into debates? Why? And the principles answer so much.
Mm-hmm.
And they answer everything, right? I mean, they literally answer everything because that's how everything gets created, through mind, thought, and consciousness. Everything that we're aware of, that's how everything gets created that we're aware of. Fascinating. So, any last comments, remarks, wise questions? Or, you know, I guess I'll see you on the Facebook group. I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
You're quite welcome. Okay, so we're going to end now. And one last question. I just remembered. We can change the time of the week, and I'll post that in the Facebook group. You know, if this isn't the best time, just post a better time for you, and we'll see if we all can congeal around that time.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good time for me. I'm on the same time you are. Sharon, where are you?
I'm in Northern California.
Oh,
so this is a fun.
3 hours earlier.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to commit to the whole course though at this point. I just don't know because I got a lot of different, you know, obligations.
Well, you know, all you have to do, Sharon, you don't even have to come to the webinar.
Yeah.
I'll send the recording. All you have to do, because I really want you, did you send me the pretest? Because I want you to.
Yes.
Yeah, you sent that to me. So then you'll take the test at the end of the 6 weeks. I mean, you could be in the control group if you absolutely have no time this time around.
I probably
Ah.
need to be in the control group.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I can't afford it. That's yeah.
Well, I
can't
have
afford
payment plans, and they're pretty
But
darn good.
Yeah, right now.
I make
right
trades.
now,
I make trades with people. Give me that. Stick with me and show me an amazing post test. But you're already so far advanced that I don't know.
Well, I don't know about
post-test
that,
will
but thank you.
show that much. But you know, if all you have to do really is just spend half an hour a day before you go to sleep, like you said, you like reading it. It's tempting to go off and read other people, and it's not bad to read other people. It's just a step away from, I mean, these, you know, it's just a step away from, I don't even have the word for it, from the epiphany, a step away from an enlightenment experience. So reading from somebody who's had an enlightenment experience, just half an hour, that's all, because it's amazing. I believe, and you know, that's part of this group also, I want everybody to say, you know, how it looks to them, not a belief, but it looks to me like people really flourish when they spend time consistently looking in this direction, the direction of inside, home, whatever you want to call it, peace of mind. Yeah. All right, we'll talk on.
Okay. Well, no,
What's
you're
that?
saying let's just read Sid.
Read Sid, just read Sid. If you can, you know, communicate with us on Facebook, that's great. If you can, I'll send you all this stuff. I'll send you the recording if you can't get on the call. I hope I'm not talking to myself though. I mean, somebody's bound to come on, right? I won't be talking to myself in the 5-10 minute recording that I'll send every day to you. And that's just to keep you, you know, like as a reminder. And that in itself might set off some insights for you. Yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Lori.
Thank you.
And
Yeah. Thank
nice
you,
meeting
ladies.
you, ladies, yes. Everyone take care.
Yeah, you
too.
too. Have a great
Thank
rest
you.
of the day. Thanks
You
again.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.